Part 1. The wedding should have been the happiest day of Emily Carter's life. Instead, it became the day that changed everything. The minister had just asked the question, "Do you take this man to be your husband?" Emily smiled through happy tears. "I do." Daniel reached for her hand. Before he could answer, a deep rumble echoed across the valley. At first, everyone thought it was thunder, but the sky was perfectly clear. The sound grew louder. Guests turned their heads. Children pointed toward the horizon. Within seconds, a sleek black helicopter appeared above the trees. It circled once before slowly descending into the open field beside the wedding venue. Dust filled the air. The violinist stopped playing. The guests stood in stunned silence. 3 people stepped out. 2 men in dark suits. 1 elderly woman dressed with quiet elegance. She carried a small wooden box. None of them looked surprised to be there. Instead, they looked relieved. The older woman walked directly toward Daniel, her eyes filled with tears. "Your Highness, we finally found you." Silence covered the entire ceremony. Emily stared at Daniel. She expected him to laugh. She expected him to tell everyone it was a mistake. Instead, he slowly closed his eyes, as if he had known this moment would eventually arrive. 3 months earlier, Emily's life had been wonderfully ordinary. She taught first grade in a small town outside Nashville. She loved her students. She loved quiet mornings. She loved reading novels on rainy weekends. Money had never impressed her. Character did. That was exactly why she fell in love with Daniel Brooks. She met him after her old car broke down outside his repair shop. Daniel treated every customer with respect. He explained everything patiently. He never charged for repairs that weren't necessary. When Emily thanked him, he simply smiled. Cars can always be repaired. People deserve kindness. She never forgot those words. Soon, coffee became dinner. Dinner became long evening walks. Long walks became love. Daniel worked hard. His apartment was tiny. His truck was old. But he made Emily feel safe. He made her feel seen. That mattered more than wealth. Still, there was one mystery. Daniel almost never talked about his past. Whenever Emily asked about his childhood, his smile faded. "My parents passed away. I moved around a lot. It wasn't an easy life." Then he gently changed the subject. Emily respected his silence. She believed everyone deserved time to heal. Her father disagreed. At nearly every family dinner, he criticized Daniel. "A mechanic isn't the future you deserve." Emily calmly answered, "Kindness builds a stronger future than money ever will." Her father only shook his head. 1 month before the wedding, Emily found Daniel sitting outside before sunrise. He was holding an old silver pocket watch. Inside the cover was a golden crown surrounded by 2 branches. The moment he noticed Emily, he closed it. "Couldn't sleep?" Something like that. "Was it your father's watch?" Daniel looked at it quietly. "It belonged to someone who expected me to become someone else." "What does that mean?" He slipped the watch into his pocket. "It means I'm exactly where I want to be." Emily kissed his cheek. She believed him, but for the first time, she wondered if his past had truly disappeared. A week before the wedding, a black luxury sedan parked across the street from Daniel's repair shop. It remained there for almost an hour. The windows were too dark to see inside. When Daniel noticed the car, his face turned pale. He closed the shop early. That evening, Emily asked if something was wrong. He smiled. "I'm just tired." But she knew better. He wasn't tired. He was afraid. Now, standing at the altar with 3 strangers only a few feet away, she finally understood why. The elderly woman opened the wooden box. Inside rested an old signet ring. Its symbol matched the crown inside Daniel's pocket watch. She carefully held it toward him. It belongs to you. Daniel stared at the ring. I buried that life a long time ago. The woman nodded. I know, but your family needs you. Emily looked at Daniel. For the first time since they met, she realized she did not truly know the man she was about to marry. Part 2. Emily couldn't breathe. The guests remained frozen. No one understood what was happening. Some whispered quietly, others reached for their phones. Daniel never looked away from the ring. Finally, he spoke. I told you not to look for me. The elderly woman lowered her head. We respected your decision for 12 years, but everything has changed. Daniel took a deep breath. I have a new life now. I know. That is why this is so difficult. Emily stepped closer. Daniel? He turned toward her. There are things I should have told you a long time ago. Then tell me now. Daniel nodded. I will. He looked at the wedding guests. I'm sorry. I can't explain this in front of everyone. Emily's father crossed his arms. I knew something wasn't right about this man. Daniel ignored the comment. He looked at the elderly woman. 5 minutes. She quietly nodded. The four of them walked into a small garden behind the chapel. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Only the sound of birds filled the silence. Emily folded her arms. I'm listening. Daniel looked down. You know me as Daniel Brooks. That isn't the name I was born with. My real name is Daniel Harrison. Emily frowned. Harrison. The elderly woman answered before Daniel could. The Harrison family founded Harrison Medical Systems more than 70 years ago. Emily immediately recognized the name. The company owned hospitals across the country, children's medical centers, research institutes, free clinics. She looked back at Daniel. Your family built all of that? Daniel nodded slowly. My grandfather did. My father expanded it. Everyone expected me to take over one day. Emily stared at him. So you walked away from billions? Daniel smiled sadly. I walked away from a life that never felt like mine. The elderly woman continued. He signed documents giving up every personal claim to the family fortune. He left with almost nothing. Emily couldn't believe what she was hearing. Why? Daniel looked toward the mountains. Because money was destroying everyone I loved. My father believed business mattered more than family. My older brother wanted power more than peace. After my mother died, our home became a battlefield. Every conversation became an argument. Every dinner became another business meeting. Nobody cared about each other anymore. Only the company mattered. One night I packed a single bag. I left before sunrise. I changed my name, bought a small repair shop, started over. Emily gently held his hand. Were you happy? For the first time in my life. Yes. Fixing engines was honest work. Helping people felt real. Nobody cared who my family was. They only knew me as Daniel, and I loved that. The elderly woman smiled. You disappeared completely. No phone, no interviews, no public records. We honored your wish until last month. Daniel looked at her. What happened? Her smile disappeared. Your brother is dying. Silence filled the garden. Daniel closed his eyes. I don't have a brother anymore. You have a brother who made terrible mistakes. There is a difference. Daniel didn't answer. Instead, he sat down on a wooden bench. Emily sat beside him. You don't have to carry this alone. He looked at her. You still want to marry me after everything? Emily smiled through tears. I thought you were hiding another woman. Instead, you were hiding another life. That changes nothing. I fell in love with the man who repaired my car, not the man whose name appears on hospital buildings. Daniel finally smiled. Before anyone could speak again, one of the men in the black suit hurried into the garden. His face looked tense. "Sir?" Daniel stood immediately. "What is it?" "The board knows we've found you. They're on their way." Emily looked confused. "Who is the board?" The elderly woman answered quietly, "The people who have been waiting for Daniel to stay away forever." The man checked his watch. "They'll be here in less than 10 minutes." Daniel looked back toward the wedding ceremony. The flowers moved gently in the summer breeze. His guests were still waiting. Emily was still wearing her wedding dress. Everything had been planned perfectly. Everything except this. He turned toward Emily. "There is one decision I have to make. Whatever I choose today, our lives will never be the same." Part 3. Daniel looked into Emily's eyes. For a moment, the noise of the wedding disappeared. Only the two of them existed. Emily squeezed his hand. "Whatever happens next, I'm with you." Daniel smiled. "Thank you." Before he could say anything else, 3 black SUVs entered the parking area. The vehicle stopped only a few yards from the chapel. Several men and women stepped out wearing expensive business suits. Their faces showed no emotion. The person leading them was a tall man with gray hair. He walked confidently toward Daniel. "Good afternoon, Daniel. It's been a long time." Daniel recognized him immediately. "Victor Lang, the chairman of the board. I should have known you would come." Victor nodded. "You left us no choice." He opened a leather folder. "The board has approved the sale of Harrison Medical Systems." Daniel frowned. "You promised my grandfather the company would never be sold. Circumstances changed. Investors are offering more money than we've ever seen." Daniel took the documents and quickly looked through them. His expression changed. "You're selling the children's hospitals, the free clinics, the cancer research centers." Victor answered calmly. "Those divisions don't generate enough profit." Daniel slowly closed the folder. They were never created to generate profit. They were created to save lives. Victor stepped closer. "If you sign these papers today, you'll become one of the richest men in America. You and your wife will never have financial problems again." Daniel looked at Emily. She quietly shook her head. "Money isn't why we're here." Daniel smiled. Then he handed the folder back. "I'm not signing anything." Victor's voice became colder. "Think carefully. This is your family's legacy." Daniel answered without hesitation. "Exactly. That's why I won't let you destroy it." The people standing behind Victor exchanged nervous looks. They had expected Daniel to accept the money. Instead, he was fighting for the hospitals. The elderly woman stepped forward. "Your grandfather always believed this day would come." She handed Daniel another envelope. He opened it carefully. Inside was a handwritten letter. It had been written by his grandfather years before. "Daniel, if you're reading this, it means you finally came home. Never measure success by the size of your fortune. Measure it by the number of people whose lives become better because you existed. If one day you must choose between money and people, choose people. Every single time." Daniel folded the letter. His eyes filled with tears. He looked at Victor. The answer is still no. Victor realized he had lost. Without Daniel's signature, the sale could not happen. He slowly nodded. "Very well. Then the future of the company is yours?" Victor turned around and walked back toward the SUVs. One by one, the board members followed him. Within minutes, they were gone. The wedding guests had watched everything from a distance. Nobody spoke. The minister smiled gently. "Should we finish what we started?" Daniel looked at Emily. "Only if you'll still have me." Emily laughed through her tears. "I was never planning to leave." The guests applauded. The ceremony continued. This time, nothing interrupted them. When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, Daniel kissed Emily as the entire crowd cheered. 6 months later, Daniel became the new CEO of Harrison Medical Systems. His first decision surprised everyone. Instead of closing hospitals, he expanded the free medical programs. He reduced executive bonuses and invested the money in children's health care. Thousands of families received treatment they could never have afforded before. Emily continued working as a teacher. She also created reading programs for children staying in the hospitals. Together, they built the kind of future neither of them had imagined. Years later, journalists often asked Daniel why he had abandoned a fortune to become a mechanic. He always smiled before answering. I needed to live as an ordinary man before I could become the leader my grandfather hoped I would be. And every time someone asked Emily if she regretted marrying a poor mechanic, she gave the same answer. I never married a poor mechanic. I married the richest man I have ever known, not because of the money he owned, but because of the heart he carried.